back to the Football Corner podcast. I'm your host, Jeremiah Queen. And of course, before we get started with today's episode, I would like for all my viewers out there on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you can stay up to date with new videos drop on the channel. Also, if you listen to me on podcast app like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even Spotify, go subscribe to the podcast. Now I know on this show, I constantly talk about teams that are underperforming. It's what the meat of my content is about. But I really want to change that up a little bit. I want to talk about my three favorite teams in the NFL so far. Number one has to be Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are scoring, averaging 40 plus points a game on offense. They're the most electrifying offense we've seen since, in my opinion, the 2018 Chiefs or even the 2019 Baltimore Ravens. This offense is just so high power, and I love what Mike McDaniel has done. Now, this is something I want to actually talk about with Mike McDaniel. People don't give him enough credit for actually believing in Tua. You remember in Mike McDaniel came in 2022, but in 2021, we did not know if Tua could be a franchise quarterback. He's too small, he's fragile, he's injury prone, and Brian Flores was rumored to be wanting to trade for Deshaun Watson. Now, Mike McDaniel came in. The first thing he said, I believe in Tua, and he's my quarterback. While the media and other analysts on various networks didn't believe in him, Mike McDaniel did. And Mike McDaniel's, all he has done is molded and put a lot of pieces around Tua and cater his play calling to what Tua does well. See, everybody was looking at what Tua can't do. Mike McDaniel was like, I'm going to show you what Tua can do. And Tua is playing right now as a top 5 quarterback, just like he was last year before he got injured. I really do love the Dolphins, and the Dolphins have an interesting matchup against the Buffalo Bills, with the Dolphins being 3-0, the Bills being 2-1. The winner of this game will have command lead in the AFC East. The second team will be the 49ers. Now, the 49ers, I think, is the best overall team in the NFL right now. They play very well on offense, and they play very well on defense. It shows because they're the only team right now who's a top 5 scoring offense and a top 5 scoring defense. No other teams can say that. I think the Buffalo Bills is number 6 on defensive scoring, and the Buffalo Bills are number 2 in scoring on offense. I think that the 49ers just have all the pieces coming together right at the right time. Brock Purdy, a guy who everybody keeps calling Mr. Irrelevant, I don't even want to call him that anymore. I want to call Brock Purdy a top-tier quarterback in the NFC because that's the way he's playing as of now. Brock Purdy, so far in the 3 games, and since we've seen him as a starter, has not been pressured, has not been rattled by defenders, and he's played some really pretty good teams throughout his starts. I think Brock Purdy was the missing piece for Kyle Shanahan's offense and for this 49ers team to reach the heights they actually want to do going into the Super Bowl. They haven't been there since Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019. I think the defense and the offense are playing complementary football. The 49ers might actually be the number 1 seed in the NFC when it's all said and done. And the third team, a buzz is coming around. It's the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are the number 1 defense in the NFL in terms of points given up. And I think in that loss against the Steelers, if it wasn't for a fumble return for a touchdown and also a pick 6 early in that game, the defense really didn't give them many points. But it was unfortunate that Deshaun Watson had played turnover football and that offense just wasn't gelling like we thought they could be. It looks like the offense is slowly getting better and better as the year is going on. The season's going further. It's sad they don't have their lead horse, Nick Chubb, but this is why he paid Deshaun Watson all that money. This is why he's a top 5 paid quarterback, and this is why he has a max contract that is fully guaranteed. You paid him all that money on what he could be and what he can be for this Browns team and this Browns offense. Now, everybody says, well, Deshaun Watson had to play a lot of football. He's trying to get back into it. This game in Week 3 was the best I've seen Deshaun Watson play since he's been back to playing football. It's up to Deshaun Watson. They got Kareem Hunt back. I think he's a really good running back. I think he fits their offense because he was in their offense prior to the season, going back to last season, the past couple of years. So he's been there. He's seen the success of what this Browns team could be. They're playing the Baltimore Ravens in a game to where the Cleveland Browns are actually favored. I think it's because the Baltimore Ravens have a lot of players injured, and there's not enough consistency on that team. I think the Browns actually have a chance of beating the Baltimore Ravens and take a commanding lead in the AFC North. It's time to shout out to some players that actually been playing dividends for their team so far through the first 3 weeks of the season. First off is TJ Watt. TJ Watt is the disruptor on defense that has 6 sacks and leads the leagues in tackle for loss and QB hits. TJ Watt is the most impactful player on that Steelers defense. If you look at last year when TJ Watt was able to play, they were 7-1 in games. Yes, 7-1. It's crazy how one defensive player could be the turning tide of a team winning. Usually it's the quarterback, and sometimes it could be a running back, but no, it's definitely the defensive end, outside linebacker, pass rusher that is the front runner for defensive MVP, defensive player of the year, and being a first-team All-Pro again. He already holds the most sacks in Steelers history, and this is the same franchise that had James Harrison, Joe Green, and other, don't forget, Joey Porter was on that team. So TJ Watt has been the most impactful for his team so far in 3 weeks. The second guy will be Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has changed life for Tua Tagovailoa and this Miami Dolphins offense. Actually, the game I can't wait for is when they play overseas against the Kansas City Chiefs. I would like to see what Tyreek Hill has for his former team. But Tua has been playing better football. It's because he has Mike McDaniel as a play caller, but also the unguardable wide receiver that is Tyreek Hill, the cheat code, whatever you want to call him. It doesn't matter. Even Madden had to bump him up to a 99 overall rating because guess what? He's just that good. So far, he leads the league in touchdowns, and he's also second in the league in receiving yards. He is a disruptor, and he goes as this Miami Dolphins go. The third guy, a guy who's on a team that has a winning record. Most people aren't really talking about this team because they really don't know what this team's going to be, if they can sustain it. But all I know, this team has a top 10 defense, and that's the 2-1 Atlanta Falcons. Jessie Bates was one of the biggest signings in the offseason. And I still don't understand why the Cincinnati Bengals didn't want to pay the guy. And the Cincinnati Bengals actually need him on defense. It's showing as of this season. But Jessie Bates has had multiple turnovers, multiple takeaways in the first 3 weeks. He has 3 interceptions on the season, and he's playing the best safety football of all the safeties in the NFL. Well, since you came towards the end of the video, you might as well hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell so you can be up to date when new videos drop on this channel. If you enjoy the content you are watching right now, you'll like it even more on my social media pages at the Football Corner Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. Thanks for watching. See you next time.